Hey, superstar. Mind telling me which planet, I mean city and country, you're watching from? Whether it's big, small, or completely off the grid, I want to know. Comment below and do me a solid. Share this video like it's the last cookie on the plate. What do you mean there's no cure? Dean's voice faltered as he stared at the lab results, his grip tightening until the paper creased beneath his fingers. The medical assistant shifted, visibly uneasy. Sir, I need you to remain calm, she said softly. We're required to notify all your recent partners. Not far from the front desk at Stark Hospital, 3 men sat apart from the rest, each clutching a sealed manila envelope that felt far heavier than it should have. Dean, the fitness trainer known for his sculpted frame, was trembling. Malik, the bold real estate hustler whose flashy watch now looked absurdly out of place, fidgeted nervously. Tyler, the once smug crypto expert, sat quietly, his usual smirk nowhere in sight. Down the hall, Michael Harlan stood silently in janitor's coveralls, his expression unreadable, a faint smirk barely visible. The mop bucket beside him sat untouched. He observed quietly, watching the men who'd upended his life unravel like frightened prey. But this story didn't start with vengeance. It began with belief. 6 months earlier, Michael wiped the sweat from his face as he heaved the final trash bin into the rear compactor of the city's sanitation truck. At 35, after nearly a decade in waste management, he didn't harbor resentment for the work. It was steady, decent labor, something you could take quiet pride in. It paid the bills and left him mental space to think. What wore him down wasn't the job, but the cold quiet of home. When he walked in that evening, Celeste was curled on the couch, the blue glow of her phone screen illuminating her face. She didn't look up as he kicked off his boots. "How was your day?" he asked, sinking beside her. "Fine," she said curtly, not breaking from her scroll. Ashley landed another brand deal, some skincare promo. Ashley North, Celeste's rival, both online and off. With her, life was one long competition. Michael nodded. "That's a win for her, right?" Celeste shot him a glare. "No, Michael, it's not a win. It should have been me." She turned fully toward him then, eyes sharp and ice cold. "But I guess a garbage man for a husband doesn't exactly scream luxury lifestyle, does it?" Her insult didn't shock him anymore, but it still landed with familiar weight. "I thought you were about being genuine," he said carefully. "Isn't that what your platform's built on?" She let out a hollow laugh. "Being real doesn't cover the condo mortgage or my lease. Authenticity doesn't pay." What Celeste never knew was that Michael had quietly been investing in crypto since 2016, back when Bitcoin was barely a curiosity. What started as a hobby had grown into a sizable portfolio. His digital accounts held over $4 million, but he had kept that part of himself hidden. The way she reacted to his public job made it crystal clear. She wouldn't respect the truth. "I'm gonna rinse off," he said, rising. She didn't respond. "Oh, Dean's throwing a party this Saturday. Just influencers and gym guys. You don't have to come." Michael paused. "Why wouldn't I?" She waved him off. "It's just not really your scene." Dean Martinez, their personal trainer, was all bulk and bravado. To Michael, he embodied everything shallow about modern masculinity. Still, Celeste never missed his events. It was always about exposure, appearances, and networking. "I think I'll go," Michael replied evenly. Celeste shrugged. "Whatever, do what you want." The party turned out just like Michael expected. Dean's apartment buzzed with gym junkies, crypto bros, and realtors in designer jeans, each trying to outshine the next. Michael stayed near the edge, sipping his beer, quietly watching as Celeste flitted through the crowd like a seasoned politician, dazzling smiles and rehearsed charm on display. "Mike!" Tyler sauntered up, grinning like they were still high school buddies. He'd been the one who first introduced Michael to crypto way back. "How's the coin wallet these days?" Michael gave a non-committal shrug. "Doing all right." Tyler figured Michael maybe had $50,000 in altcoins. He didn't suspect the truth that Michael was a multimillionaire. "Nice. Hey, did you see Dean's new setup? Converted a whole room into a live stream studio?" Michael followed his gaze. Dean was in the center of a group, pitching some workout brand like a pro, camera running. Celeste was right up front, soaking in every word. "Looks impressive," Michael said, voice flat. Tyler tilted his head. "You good, man? You seem kind of off tonight." Just as Michael opened his mouth to respond, Malik strolled over with his trademark swagger. "Hey guys, what's the word?" he asked breezily. "Tyler, remember that property investment I brought up? Cash-only entry, but the return's insane." Malik had been peddling pitches like this for ages. Michael had learned long ago to stop paying them any attention. "I'll pass," he replied, keeping his voice level. Malik smirked. "Your loss. Some folks just don't have the stomach for real wealth." Michael nearly chuckled at the irony. Fear of risk? If Malik only knew. While the party buzzed around him, Michael withdrew into quiet observation. He started noticing things. The way Celeste's hand lingered too long on Dean's bicep, how Tyler and Malik traded a glance while laughing about their weekend plans, the awkward pauses that followed whenever Michael entered a group conversation. Sometime past midnight, he found Celeste alone in the kitchen, pouring herself another glass of red. "Ready to head out?" he asked gently. She glanced over her shoulder. "Actually, I think I'll stick around a bit and help Dean clean up. He's been generous hosting. I can stay and pitch in, too." Celeste gave a small shake of her head. "No, it's fine. You've got work in the morning." Michael's eyes drifted over the pristine kitchen, the spotless countertops, the gleaming sink. "What's left to clean?" Her cheeks flushed. "Michael, come on. Don't start this. Don't make it uncomfortable." "Make what uncomfortable?" "This jealousy thing. It's not like you—" He stared at her. This woman he had shared a life with for 7 years. "I'm not jealous, Celeste. I'm trying to understand." "Understand what exactly?" "Why my wife is staying late at another man's apartment cleaning a kitchen that doesn't need cleaning." The murmur of voices in the next room fell silent. The tension was no longer theirs alone. Celeste exhaled sharply, barely above a whisper. "Fine. I'll come home. But this is ridiculous." They drove back in silence. Michael's thoughts were churning, but his hand stayed steady on the wheel. Beside him, Celeste sat stiffly, arms crossed, eyes locked on the rhythm of streetlights passing by. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "You were right, I overreacted." She turned, caught off guard. "You mean that?" "I do. I trust you. Sometimes I wonder if I'm enough for you." Her face softened. "Michael, don't say that. You're not the problem. You're just different from the crowd I hang out with." "Different how?" "You're more reserved. They're, I don't know, more outgoing." "Outgoing," he echoed, storing the word like a clue. "I understand," he said. "I'll try to be more like them." Celeste smiled and reached across the console, giving his hand a warm squeeze. "You know I love you, right?" "I love you too." But as they turned into their driveway, Michael's mind had already shifted. He wasn't upset. He was calculating. Trust, but verify. A phrase drilled into him during endless nights of surveillance back in the military. The next morning, Michael went online and ordered a compact voice recorder. Nothing flashy, just a small motion-activated model that could easily disappear in any room. He tried convincing himself he was just being paranoid, letting his imagination run loose. But in his experience, what civilians called suspicion, the Army called preparation. 2 days later, the device arrived. He tested it during his lunch break in the cab of his truck. The sound quality was flawless. That evening, while Celeste showered, Michael carefully slid the recorder behind the dresser in their bedroom, out of view. For the first few days, everything seemed normal. Small talk, routine evenings, the soundscape of ordinary life. Michael began to second-guess himself. Maybe he was wrong. Maybe he was just imagining things. Then came the 4th day. Casually, Celeste mentioned she was going to Dean's gym to work on content strategy. "I'll be late," she said, pecking him on the cheek. "Don't wait up." Michael gave a quiet nod as she walked out the door. And then he waited. At exactly 11 p.m., he heard tires roll softly onto the driveway. Celeste had finally come home. Michael remained motionless, pretending to be asleep as Celeste gently slipped under the covers beside him. The next morning, Once she'd gone out for an early breakfast meeting, he retrieved the recorder he'd hidden. What played back destroyed the last of his illusions. Celeste's voice echoed, breathy and satisfied. God, I needed that. Dean's voice followed immediately, unmistakable. You've been on my mind all week. We have to be smarter about this, he warned. She laughed softly. Why? Michael's been acting weird, Dean said. At your party, he asked why you were so set on staying late. What did you tell him? I said he was overthinking it. And honestly, he was, Celeste replied. They both laughed, a cruel, private laugh. Poor Michael, she said, still giggling. Always around, never saying anything, like a lamp in the corner. Their laughter resumed, sharp and dismissive. Dean shifted the topic. Oh, by the way, Tyler and Malik are dropping by tomorrow night. We still good for our plan? You mean the wellness night? She asked, her voice playful. Yeah, you sure you're in? Are you kidding? I've been dying to try something like that. Michael would never what? She teased. You know, Dean said, he's just so bland. Michael sat, clenched tight, fury surging beneath his calm. Whatever this wellness night was, it had nothing to do with well-being. But it was what he heard next that cut deepest. 2 nights later, after another supposed strategy session, Celeste returned home and took a call, unaware a microphone was nearby. He's completely in the dark, she said. Way too trusting. And honestly, weak. What if he finds out? Tyler asked. He won't. But even if he does, what's he going to do? Divorce? Tyler scoffed. Let him file. I still walk away with half. Still, she said more cautiously. Maybe we keep it toned down. Come on, Tyler replied. The guy picks up garbage for a living. He's not exactly a spy. Fair enough. You coming to Malik's on Thursday? Wouldn't miss it, she said. These guys' nights? Best thing that's ever happened to my marriage. Michael sat in his truck in the driveway, listening to the recording on loop. His wife, laughing, plotting, flippant about her disloyalty. The grief was there, but beneath it, something colder formed. A quiet, deliberate resolve. They'd written him off, harmless, passive, invisible. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. He didn't confront her. He didn't lash out or give away his awareness. Instead, he got to work. First, he needed undeniable proof. Over the course of the next week, he installed new surveillance gear, tiny, expertly hidden, impossible to notice. He began tracking her digital activity too, calendars, messages, even unsent emails. What he uncovered wasn't simple infidelity. It was a game, a sport, a coordinated performance of betrayal. Dean, Tyler, Malik. This wasn't a scattered web of affairs. It was a long-running joke at his expense. Their private group chats confirmed it. They called him the Ghost. Easy to forget, easier to mock. But what they never accounted for was Michael's true nature. His military background had taught him patience, precision, and how to operate unnoticed. The crypto fortune he'd quietly built gave him the resources to act without limitation. And his job, menial, unremarkable, allowed him to move without suspicion. He was everywhere and nowhere, the perfect ghost for a quiet campaign of revenge. For 2 weeks he studied them, examined their weaknesses, cataloged their patterns. Dean's personal training company was barely making rent. Tyler's image as a crypto expert was mostly a front, supported by risky leverage and borrowed money. Malik's flashy real estate game was built on shady deals and forged paperwork. Each one of them was living a lie, barely keeping it together. Each one of them was pushing boundaries with his wife. And Michael? He was already sketching the architecture of their downfall. Step 1, establish distance. He signed a lease for a small apartment across the city, modest, untraceable, and paid for through an old LLC he'd once used for crypto investments. It would serve as his command center, his sanctuary, his war room. He began by methodically transferring his prized possessions, doing it gradually so Celeste wouldn't become suspicious. The next step required selecting someone he could rely on. Tamara Lee had once held a job as a certified medical technician, but that career ended after a DUI conviction. Since then, she'd been pulling espresso shots at the cafe Michael regularly visited, clearly doing her best just to get by. More importantly, she owed him. Months prior, when she was drowning in court fines, an anonymous payment had cleared her debt. She never knew for sure who had helped, until now. During a quiet stretch behind the counter, Michael approached her directly. "I need someone with a medical background," he said. "Nothing illegal, just some routine wellness checks." "What kind of checks?" she asked, narrowing her eyes with suspicion. "The kind that might keep certain individuals from making life-altering mistakes." She studied his expression. "This is about your wife, isn't it?" Michael didn't reply. He didn't have to. "So are you asking for my help?" "What I need is someone to set up a legitimate men's health evaluation, real diagnostics, real lab work. But I need the results communicated in a certain tone." Tamara folded her arms. "You're not expecting me to forge anything, right?" "I'm not asking for forgeries," Michael replied calmly. "I want you to highlight specific findings. Stress the potential concerns. Recommend immediate follow-ups. All based on real data." She went quiet, weighing the request. "How much are you offering?" 50,000? Her eyes widened. "You're serious?" "Dead serious." "And what exactly are you trying to accomplish?" Michael's smile was measured, icy. "Let's just say I'm returning the favor." Ironically, the entire concept had originated with Celeste herself, which made it all the more fitting. "I want to move my brand in a more meaningful direction," she told him one morning over coffee. "Something deeper than just aesthetics." "Such as?" he asked, pretending to be intrigued. "Men's health," she said confidently. "It's underserved. Dean says it could really give my platform more credibility." "Of course Dean would suggest that." "I think that's a great idea," Michael replied, very genuine. "I was thinking of launching a campaign, offering free wellness checks, maybe teaming up with gyms and wellness centers. That kind of initiative won't come cheap." "I've put some money aside," she claimed. She hadn't. "And I'm hoping to get some corporate sponsors." Michael paused, acting as if he were giving it serious thought. "Actually, I'd like to help fund it." Her eyes lit up. "Really?" "Absolutely. What do you need to get the ball rolling? Maybe $10,000? I'll give you 25. She lit up like a spotlight. "Are you being serious?" Michael nodded with a warm smile. "Completely. I've always believed in you, Celeste." For a fleeting second, her face showed something like remorse, but it disappeared just as quickly. 2 weeks later, the Men's Wellness Initiative was officially launched. Celeste marketed it aggressively on her platforms, presenting herself as a visionary pushing for men's mental and physical health. The response was wildly positive, especially from her male followers. Dean, Malik, and Tyler were among the first to sign up, eager to support her and capitalize on the free services. "This is genius," Tyler said to Michael during a lift session at the gym. "Your wife's a pioneer." "She's smart," Michael responded smoothly. "You hit the jackpot. Celeste is everything." Michael nodded slowly. "I'm fully aware of what I've got." The screenings took place at Dean's gym, an obvious choice given his fitness credentials. Tamara arrived in crisp, clean scrubs, looking every bit the professional. Accompanying her was a certified mobile diagnostics crew Michael had arranged. The evaluations were exhaustive: blood panels, infection screenings, cardiovascular risk analysis, the kind of testing any health-conscious man would want. The trio completed the full range of medical screenings, brushing it off with the smug ease of men unaccustomed to genuine consequences. "How long before we hear back?" Dean inquired. 7 days or less, Tamara answered briskly. "Each of you will be contacted individually for a private follow-up." "Hope it's nothing dramatic," Malik joked. "I feel great." "That's exactly why these assessments matter," Tamara replied, her tone flat and unreadable. Nearby, Michael hovered by the fitness machines, posing as a diligent cleaner. In truth, he was recording everything on his phone. The first piece of his operation had been executed flawlessly. When the reports came in, they confirmed what Michael had anticipated: no health issues among the three. But that wasn't the story they were given. "Mr. Martinez," Tamara said solemnly as Dean took a seat across from her desk, "we need to review your results." "Is there a problem?" he asked, his posture shifting. "Yes, she said carefully. Your panel shows contact with a drug-resistant strain of HPV. It isn't fatal, but it does require immediate treatment and partner notification. Dean's expression turned pale. Wait, what does that mean? You'll have to inform every partner from the last 6 months, she explained. They'll need to get tested without delay. I don't feel sick, he insisted. That's normal, Tamara replied. This variant can remain undetected for long stretches. That's what makes it dangerous. In the 2 days that followed, nearly identical conversations unfolded with the others. Tyler was informed he showed early signs of chlamydia. Malik was told he had a bacterial infection that needed quick treatment. All three left with genuine prescriptions, benign antibiotics that added realism to the diagnoses. Crucially, they were each urged to contact every recent sexual partner immediately. Michael sat back and waited for the consequences to surface. They did. The first signal came in the form of desperate messages. Call me. Urgent, read Dean's text to Celeste, picked up by the tracking software Michael had quietly installed on their shared laptop. What's happening? Celeste replied. Too much to explain by text. Come over. It's about the tests. Hours later, the three of them gathered in Dean's apartment, tension gripping their expressions like a vice. How did this even happen? Tyler asked, pacing anxiously. We were cautious. Were we really? Malik said, voice edged with sarcasm. We all shared the same damn woman. Keep it down, Dean hissed. People might hear us. What are we supposed to tell our partners? Tyler asked, panic building. Dean exhaled shakily. I wish I had an answer. Later, Michael reviewed the conversation's audio. A quiet grin formed as he listened to their unraveling nerves. But he wasn't even close to finished. The next stage demanded finesse. Michael began leaking anonymous tips to health and wellness blogs, hinting at an emerging STI scare connected to well-known fitness personalities. The claims were vague but convincing, never naming anyone, but specific enough to stir suspicion. The rumor mill ignited instantly. Within days, lifestyle websites and forums were buzzing with speculation about unseen dangers in influencer culture and the critical need for regular checkups. Dean's gym took a hit, membership numbers fell, and his coaching sessions came under scrutiny. Tyler's crypto site was bombarded with snide remarks comparing his judgment in health to his investment advice. Malik's real estate company started receiving cautious inquiries from clients concerned about his personal conduct. The pristine public personas they had worked so hard to build were deteriorating fast, and in full view of the public. None of them suspected who had triggered the avalanche. And Michael wasn't finished yet. Phase 3 would cut even deeper. He composed a message from an anonymous burner account and sent it to Ashley North, Celeste's longtime adversary. I have information regarding Celeste Harlan that may interest you, the note read. A recent campaign aimed at highlighting men's health carried a much deeper, concealed agenda. Ashley replied within just a few hours. What kind of scandal are we dealing with? Michael sent over a carefully edited collection of audio recordings, Celeste mocking her followers, revealing she fabricated her online identity, and bragging about how effortlessly she manipulated her audience. Notably, he withheld anything that referenced her affair. That part of the narrative would unfold in time. Ashley's response came quickly and with disbelief. Where did this come from? Michael answered with a simple line. Let's just say I believe in accountability. And what do you want out of this? She pressed. Nothing, he replied. Only honesty. Ashley acted swiftly. She crafted a scathing video analysis about the illusion of authenticity in influencer culture, featuring veiled quotes taken directly from Celeste's own admissions. Within 2 days, the post went viral. Celeste's follower numbers began plummeting. Brands began cutting ties. Her carefully curated public persona began to deteriorate, piece by carefully crafted piece. Michael watched it all unfold from a secure, undisclosed apartment, his eyes locked on the live surveillance feeds beaming in from their former home. Meanwhile, Celeste was in a free fall, frantic calls to PR firms, tearful voice messages left for agents and industry friends. I don't know who's doing this, she pleaded into a voicemail. Someone's coming for me. Please help me find out who. Was it Ashley, a competitor, a bitter ex-collaborator? Never once did she imagine that the man she'd considered harmless and forgettable, her husband, was the one behind it all. Then came Michael's final move. He arranged a follow-up men's wellness event at Dean's gym, framed as a public continuation of the health conversation sparked by the initial screening controversy. Using Celeste's own channels, he advertised it as a gesture of accountability and transparency within the community. Dean, Tyler, and Malik all attended, hoping to reclaim their damaged reputations. The place was packed. Fitness influencers, regular gym-goers, even a few local journalists drawn by the buzz. What none of them realized was that Michael had quietly outfitted the facility with hidden recording equipment. Dean stood up to address the audience, visibly nervous. "I want to speak honestly about the confusion surrounding the earlier screenings," he began. Someone near the back interrupted. "Is the STD rumor true?" Dean tried to maintain composure. "There's no outbreak. Just some abnormal results that required precaution." "What results exactly?" pressed another voice, from a reporter Michael had subtly alerted ahead of time. "That information is private," Dean snapped. "But you're asking people to trust your expertise," the journalist countered. "Shouldn't they know what they're walking into?" The room stirred with questions. They came faster, sharper. Tyler tried to ease the tension by blaming sensationalist media coverage, but sweat glistened on his forehead. Malik attempted to redirect the conversation toward broader men's health topics, but his voice betrayed his anxiety. Then Michael activated the next phase. A sudden burst of audio filled the gym, broadcast from concealed speakers Michael had rigged earlier. The crowd listened, stunned, as damning conversations played out. The three men joking about their sexual liaisons with Celeste, mocking Michael and boasting about how easy he was to deceive. Dean's voice rang out clearly. "Michael? He's invisible. Might as well be part of the furniture." "What if he catches on?" another voice asked. "He won't," came the reply. "He's clueless. Soft. Guy works sanitation. You think he's capable of putting this together?" The entire room fell into stunned silence. Phones came out, people filmed, the audio echoed from wall to wall. Dean's face went ashen. This can't be legal, right? Isn't this wiretapping?" Michael stepped calmly from behind a weight machine, fully visible now. "Only illegal if it's not your own house," he said smoothly, "and all of it was recorded with my own equipment." From the entrance, Celeste's voice broke in, shaken and panicked. "Michael, what are you doing?" He locked eyes with her. "Just participating in the transparency you've all been championing." "Isn't that what today's about?" The speakers continued to play, each clip another nail in the coffin. More betrayal, more cruelty, more truths no one expected to hear. Social media exploded almost immediately. Video clips from the gym, audio segments, commentary threads. The scandal was everywhere. Michael didn't need to say anything else. The evidence was speaking louder than he ever could. "You actually went through with all of it, didn't you?" Tyler barked, anger rippling through his voice. Michael's head tilted ever so slightly, his demeanor unsettlingly calm. "Went through with what exactly?" "I arranged health screenings. I encouraged my wife's career. I trusted people I considered close," he said, each word laced with bitterness. "You wrecked everything," Tyler snarled. Michael stared back without flinching. "All I did was offer the one thing you all claim to hold sacred, truth." Dean lunged without warning, fury overtaking reason. But Michael was ready. Years of military training surfaced instinctively. He sidestepped with smooth precision, and Dean's body slammed into a stack of weight equipment behind them. The impact echoed, brutal and unmistakably embarrassing. "Stay down," Michael murmured. "You're only embarrassing yourself." Malik was already making his way toward the exit, but a dense crowd had closed in. Dozens of onlookers blocked the path, some shouting, others recording the chaos on their phones. He was trapped, his unraveling captured in real time. The consequences came fast, and they were unforgiving. Dean's fitness center was out of business within days. His image as a health guru collapsed overnight. His followers vanished. A viral clip of him charging Michael and crashing like a fool into gym equipment sealed his downfall in the public eye. Tyler's once popular crypto advice column was axed. Clients fled. Further examination exposed his financial recommendations as half-researched and reckless. Legal action loomed. Malik's license in real estate was placed under suspension as regulatory bodies dug into his deals. What emerged was a consistent pattern of exaggerated promises and ethically questionable transactions. The three were buried under waves of online mockery. Comment threads lit up with insults. Their careers lay in ruins, their reputations obliterated, their futures bleak and uncertain. Michael, however, wasn't finished. During the divorce trial, the extent of his planning surfaced. "I don't understand," Celeste whispered to her attorney, visibly shaken. "He works in waste management. How can he even afford her?" She referred to Eva Darnell, arguably the most elite divorce attorney in the city. Michael had secured Eva's representation by laying out his finances transparently. She accepted without hesitation. "Mrs. Harlan," Eva said smoothly, "your husband has shown considerably more financial intelligence than you appear to have realized." The revelation hit Celeste like a slap. More than $4 million in crypto assets, invested long before their marriage and held under his sole ownership. "He hid that money from me," she snapped. "No," Eva corrected with measured tone. "He preserved funds that were never legally part of the marital estate. Those assets existed prior to your union and were built through independent financial decisions." "But we depended on that money," Celeste objected. "You benefited from his generosity," Eva clarified. "There's a legal difference, and it matters." The financial impact was catastrophic for Celeste. She had no right to any of the digital fortune. Worse still, she was drowning in liabilities from her crumbled influencer career. Her income streams had dried up. Sponsorships were canceled. Lawsuits loomed from companies alleging she'd breached contract terms. "I want spousal support," she insisted. "On what grounds?" Eva asked, her expression unmoved. "Throughout your marriage, he earned a steady, albeit modest, income in sanitation. Legally, he could have requested support from you, but I don't earn anything now. That's no longer his problem." The court's final ruling was blunt and irreversible. Celeste left with nothing. No part of the crypto portfolio, no alimony, only debt and a reputation in tatters. Michael walked away with his assets untouched, his job secure, and, most importantly, his peace restored. Half a year later, he stood in his new apartment, staring out at the city skyline. The space was sleek, inviting, and fully his. No shared spaces, no hidden microphones, no paranoia. His phone buzzed. An unknown number appeared. "Michael, can we please talk? I miss you, I'm sorry, please." He erased it instantly. Celeste had been reaching out for weeks, but for Michael, that chapter had ended long ago. A new notification appeared on Michael's phone. This time, it was a message from Ashley North. "Dinner at my place tonight. I'm cooking." He smiled as he read it. Their connection had evolved slowly, intentionally. Ashley understood his past, every calculated move, every justification behind his choices. She didn't just accept where he'd come from. She embraced who he had become, completely unshaken. "I'll bring the wine," he replied. Before leaving, Michael lingered at the bathroom mirror. The man looking back at him wasn't the same one who used to come home to silent treatment and unspoken betrayals. This version of himself carried a composed strength, calm, capable, and dangerous if necessary. No longer fragile, no longer invisible. He wasn't some background object anymore. He'd always been there. They had just chosen not to notice. In the living room, the evening news murmured from the television as he adjusted his collar. A breaking story flashed across the screen, a real estate corruption scandal unfolding downtown. Malik's image appeared, looking exhausted and broken, hands cuffed as officers escorted him out. Michael picked up the remote and turned off the TV. That part of his life was finished. Ahead of him stretched a clean slate, a relationship, a direction, a future entirely on his terms. As he walked across the driveway to his car, His thoughts drifted to the idea of revenge. People often imagined vengeance as something loud and dramatic, fireworks and fury. But the most effective kind? Silent, letting people stumble into the fallout they created for themselves. Dean, Tyler, Malik, their undoing wasn't his handiwork. They collapsed under the weight of their own pride. All Michael had done was shine the spotlight. And Celeste? Her destruction wasn't his responsibility. He merely reflected her image back at her, nothing more. The victory wasn't in their fall. It was in his freedom. And for the first time in what felt like forever, Michael Harlan stood exactly where he belonged.